how to make a chapbook for the cheap. You see, if I got it at home, I'm going to find a way. This is everything. I'm so excited. Y'all, look what I did. Today's video is going to be about chapbooks. I'm going to tell you all the things I learned, all the mistakes I made, so that you don't have to go through that pain. By no means is this a step-by-step tutorial, but I am going to give you a little bit of insight about my writing process, what my goal was for this chapbook, and how I went about doing things, if that helps. I started working on this chapbook in either February or March, and I really wanted it to come out for my birthday because I wanted it to kind of be like a birthday present to myself, just to prove to myself, hey, you know, you can do this and it's possible to make your dreams come true. But and I did release a digital version for my birthday on the 12th, but the physical version is taking a little bit more trial and error than I expected it to. I expected it to be like easy, like, oh, all I have to do is write the poems, curate them in the order that I want them to go in, put them on Word, and then print them, and that would be good and everything would be fine. Except the process of actually cutting and binding the chapbooks by hand, getting them printed in the color and design that I wanted them to be in, actually drawing the cover design, everything just took longer than I wanted it to. And then even once, because this is a draft copy of the chapbook, even once I printed the stuff out, I don't know if you can tell, but those are not aligned at the top. Like, this is higher than that, and that's not what I wanted for the chapbook. So figuring out how to cut it properly so that it actually looks the way I wanted to. Also proofread, because I went through this and I was like, yeah, I missed a couple words that could have been fixed. Starting with theme, what do you want to talk about? So for me, I'm really big into water. Like, I love being near the water, on the beach, by the pond or the lake. And water is just a big part of, I don't know, how I think about healing and processing. Pick something that is important to you, that stands out to you, that would be a story that you want to tell. I mean, that's with anything you're writing. Pick something that's going to resonate with you, because chances are if it resonates with you, it's going to hit home for other people as well. My sub-themes are, because it's not just about the water, I curated it down into talking specifically about the relationship between a mother and her child, because a big part of the longer anthology work is following the story of my OC Atlas while he is discovering his family history and who he is and his draw towards the water. And a big part of his identity is his relationship to his mom. So that's something that I really wanted to touch on in this. I also wanted to touch on the theme of, you know, wanting to be loved. Like, not just understand yourself and wanting someone to understand you, but like just wanting someone to pick you, to choose you, to want to be with you. The next thing, after you have your theme, obviously is going to be writing the poems. Since I already have short stories written, and since I write a lot about the ocean and the water and in general, I already had a few poems that were, you know, could fit into this collection. And then I just wrote on top of that and kind of like used the already pre-existing poems as reference or as inspiration for new ones. I also had to ask myself a couple of questions as far as like, what do I want the message of this collection to be? What do I hope people walk away with? And how much do I really want to lean into the storytelling aspect versus being a bit more abstract with my words? So yeah, asking yourself a lot of questions up front so that once you actually get into the creative process of writing it, it makes the job a bit easier. I won't say it makes it easy, but it makes it easier because you know what you want to talk about and what the goal is. Once you're kind of in the writing stage and you're like getting to the flow of like, this is actually something I'm creating with my hands, there's a couple things you can do at this point. I think I was kind of switching between writing the poems, trying to figure out what I want the cover design to be, trying to figure out what the structure I want it to be, because there's different like binding techniques and how I was going to print and everything. I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't recommend being like, oh my gosh, thinking about the final product, like how am I going to get this printed? How am I going to get this out to people? Are people even going to like this or care about it? Like all that noise, all that radio noise, turn that off. The only thing you need to be worried about, sorry, I started to get preachy. You don't need to do anything that you don't want to do. But I just found it easier to just focus on the writing itself, because once I started getting into the mindset of like, how am I going to print this? What's the cover design going to look like? All these different things that are like later issues, I kind of felt like my creativity was being drained into like trying to figure out like the financial aspect and the logistical aspect versus like using that energy to actually write something well enough that I would be proud to put it into the world, no matter how it gets out into the world. So yes. Don't freak out, because honestly, this video is gonna be how to make a chapbook for the cheap. Because I got you. And how to do everything in-house by yourself, because I'm a one girl publishing house at this point. I need to that's like my tagline, one woman publishing house. You will learn very quickly that I am very resourceful. If I got it at home, I'm going to find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. But to show you something, like a little sneak peek of something else I'm working on, here's my little thing. Look how cute. Isn't he cute? Isn't she cute? This isn't the official thing, but this is like for a pitch event that I'm doing in the next couple of days. But anyway, moving on to the chapbook. This is what the final cover looks like without the text on it. You see the lighthouse, you see the little boat. Obviously I'll show you a side by side comparison because it is a bit too different. Oh my goodness. You see. Of course the color is gonna look a little bit different in print, but I don't know, it gets pretty close, I suppose. But okay, I'm using Krita. It's a software that's free that I came across for Microsoft, and since I have this little Microsoft Surface Go that I've had for some years, obviously you see I dropped her. She's very loved. I'll kind of walk through the layers. I don't know, do you care? Is this something you want to see? I don't know. I stacked all the water on top of each other, so you can see. I'm going to build it back up. That's the boat. Anyway, you see all my layers. And then I did line art on top. I specifically wanted a lighthouse, and I wanted a boat. The lighthouse is going to be part of the larger anthology collection. It's really prominent. Like when you think of lighthouses, you think of, somebody lost at sea or searching for somebody at sea, and like lighting the darkness, which is a big theme in my collection of stories. The boat, Atlas wants to go out on the water and be a shipmate. So yeah, it's a collection of things. Even though I use a drawing software to do it like digitally and everything, if you wanted to draw by hand, you could always draw by hand, scan the image, upload it to your computer or whatever, and have it printed that way. I just did it digitally because honestly, I don't really have the tools to do stuff in the physical because I don't really have color pencils and things. I don't usually draw, so it's just easier to do digital for me. But also, if you don't want to draw, or if you want to get, commission an artist or whatever to do it, fine. That's fine. Do what you want. Like I said, it's your chapbook, it's your story. Honestly, ideally, if I had the funds, I would have got somebody else to do it. But I'm trying to think of anything else about the cover art. Oh, if you didn't want to draw and you just wanted like a simple background where it's just like black screen and a white lettering, or ombre colored screen and black lettering or whatever, you can always just do that. You don't have to have like an art design specifically for your cover. I've seen some chapbooks that are really sleek and look really nice when they're just like a simple solid color and just the text on top, kind of like just having like a notebook where it's just like it's pink but you see the little cute insignia, or it says notebook or something on it, I think, or whatever the title of your chapbook is. So it's really whatever you want it to be, but this is just what I did. Okay, you got your writing, you got your cover design, and now you're trying to figure out how to put the thing into the world. Where you're going to have to format it, but in order to format it properly, you have to know what type of binding technique you want to use. If you're going to be doing it by hand, obviously I'm sure there are ways that you can get it printed online by like a service or whatever, but I wanted to do everything myself. Also, it's cheaper to do everything myself. So I wanted to just like hand bind it, because I also wanted to see the product before it was sent out. I didn't want it to be like, oh, surprise, here's what it looks like. I want it to actually be like something from me. So structure wise, like I said, figuring out your binding technique. Mine is pretty simple because I was already stressed enough as it was putting all this together. I really just wanted something that was going to be simple. And so I just have this simple binding, like it's sewn down the spine here. And then there's some extra fabric. If I wanted to, I could cut that fabric off, but I'm actually going to use this. You'll see in the finished draft, but I'm actually going to use this to have like one of those like bookmark things, and it's going to have some beads on the end, which I think is like so freaking cute. In my head it's cute. Hopefully it come out the way I want it to. But yeah, it's simple. But because I'm binding it where all the pages are lying flat on top of each other, instead of, I know some people will like take this folded copy and then they'll grab another sheet and fold that as well on top, and then they'll keep going until they get stacks of folded sheets, and then they'll sew up through it. I was like, that's doing too much for me. So I wanted it to just be like simple, flat. You can open it and it's like this. So for that, because I chose the simple technique, actual formatting my chapbook and the poems was a lot more complicated than I would have liked it to be, but honestly is a nice payoff for the fact that all I have to do is put a line down the center and I'm done, if I want it to be done like that. Basically, I found this picture on Pinterest. I think I find everything on Pinterest where it showed, for this type of binding, how to do the pages from, if you want like printing front and back. So it's a little complicated explaining it, so I don't know if I'll be able to. I think it's simple if all your pages, if your format is just on like one sheet, like 2 poems per sheet, like a little column thing. But me, as always, decided to make it complicated. I actually wanted my chapbook to be pretty compact, pretty small, where you can like slide it into a purse or take it with you. Like I want it to be something that you could like carry with you. So I actually want it to be 4 poems per paper, and then 8 poems front and back total. I didn't want to just have blank space and just have the 2 poems at the top because that's a waste of paper. I have to cut this off. So I decided poem 3 will open up here, and then the second to last poem, or you know, whatever the order was, third to last poem. And then I would take this, cut this in half so that it folded into this, not folded in, but I would cut this and then place it on top. And then that way, once I had poem 1 there, poem 2 in the back side, and then once you know, flip it open, there's poem 3. If that makes sense. It's a little complicated, which is why I'm going to show the diagram on screen so you can actually like see it the way that it's supposed to be formatted. The next step is actually binding. Initially, I was thinking, well, if we're being cheap and we're trying to, you know, make it as simple as possible, I could just get a stapler and staple the middle. And I was gonna do that. That was just gonna be, I was just gonna staple the middle because it's thin enough for a staple to go through, and to hold it together. But then I was trying to think like, well, how can I make it more cohesive with the actual, you know, cover art itself and the aesthetic that I'm going for. And I was like, all the binding techniques use some type of like thread. But I was like, I don't know if my thread is gonna be thick enough, blah blah blah. And then I remembered I have embroidery thread, because I also have a bad habit of taking on hobbies, only doing them for a day, and then throwing all the materials into a closet. So I have a whole bag full of embroidery thread. Like literally, when I tell you, I kind of went crazy at the store. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get into embroidery and it's gonna be like the best like decision I've ever made in my life, and I'm gonna buy the little circle hoop things and all this cute fabric, and it's gonna be amazing. Like, this is everything. I'm so excited. Y'all, look what I did. Look at what I did. I didn't, that's not even sewn. I sewed 2 lines of a spider web, and the rest is just what I was going to do and never did. And I think I did this for Halloween. Not even, mind you, not even Halloween 2024. Halloween 2023. I've had this for dang near 2 years. And it was just sitting in the closet because I kind of gave up. After I did a couple lines, I was like, I don't know if embroidery is for me. I don't know. And I know you're not supposed to be like good at stuff when you first try it, but like, maybe it's just not my cup of tea. I'm just not that girl. Like, I just would prefer something else. But I thought it was gonna work because I like sewing and I like clothes and I like fashion. And I was like, oh, like it's just like an extension of that, like, you know, sewing and everything. And girl, it was not that. It was not that at all. Anyway, because I have all this, I have these different colored embroidery threads, some blues and stuff that I was like, oh my gosh, like this would go perfectly with the cover. Like it's blue, the kind of like darker bluish gray. I was like, oh my gosh, these would go perfect, and I could use those as binding because embroidery thread is pretty thick. Yeah, and it would hold it together perfectly, and it would match the theme. Yeah, I can do that. So that was my idea for that. So yeah, just being, like I said, resourceful. I got craft scissors at home. I have needle and thread, obviously. I was thinking about buying like a cutter so I could like and cut like really like fine lines, because I don't know if you can tell, but them lines not fine. That's very jagged and crooked and just not cute. But I remembered I have a ruler and an X-Acto knife, and what I could do is take the boards, like the thick, really hard boards that were inside holding the fabric together. I could put the paper on top, put my ruler up, use my X-Acto knife, and cut it fine lines. Fine. Oh, big brain girl, big brain energy. I just like, use what you got at home. If you got it at home, you don't gotta buy it again. And I mean, you can put the stuff you did buy before that's not really getting no use into use. I think that's pretty dope. So now you have your binding. As far as how I'm going to put it out, honestly, like I said, the digital version is online. The physical version is in production, and hopefully by the time I put this video out, there'll be like a link or something to order one, or some type of, I'll put my contact or something to reach out if you want to buy it. Just to read a little bit of the synopsis for you so you know what you're getting into. Messages from the Sea and the Shoreline is a poetry collection that wades into the deep waters of longing that plague the human heart. It is a very natural thing, the desire to be held, loved, and to feel some sense of belonging. Represented by the image of a sandy shore slipping steadily into the raging waves of the ocean, we follow the turbulent push and pull between a mother and her child, wherein lies a touch of gentleness, a necessity for warmth, and an intense battle for understanding. A mother fighting her own worst impulses, and a child desperately seeking her affections. I don't know. I would read it. I buy it. Oh, Spiders updates. For those who are interested and saw the video that I posted about mixing in the spider collection in January, got word back on the 15th, and my collection was not chosen, and I was a little bummed about it. But since I've been doing this work for the pitch event coming up, I kind of worked on that a little bit to get my mind off of the rejection. I did sit with it for a while though. Like, I didn't just jump back into work. I did sit with it for a while, listen to some kind of like heartbreak music, and just, you know, told myself, as I've told myself before, that, you know, a door closes and another one opens. So yeah, this isn't the end. I'll continue to try to send my work out to different like contests and literary magazines and stuff, and eventually something will land. I just have to be, I have to like, you know, expect 100 rejections. Is that what the quote said? It was something like expect 100 rejections or whatever. I think I'm gonna release Spiders myself at some point. We'll see, because I did put a lot of work into it, and that was my very first, like, this is my very first kind of collection of poetry that I've ever done. I don't know, I put my heart into Spiders. Spiders is something that like yeah, this is really cool as far as, like, you know, I've been thinking about the water and the ocean depths and stuff for a couple of years, but Spiders was something that, like, for me, really summed up in a way the past year of my life. And I don't know, it's really really fresh to me in a way that, I don't know, I just can't fully put into words like how much of me actually went into writing Spiders and making Spiders a thing, and how I learned so much about myself while writing it. I don't know why I'm getting emotional talking about it. I think because it's still like kind of like a fresh wound, the fact that it wasn't chosen, and I felt so good about it, and I had hyped it up so much. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna choose me. They're gonna choose me because why not me? And then it didn't get chosen, which I'm sure there are, you know, just so many great writers who sit in work. Happy for the people who got chosen, but it's just like it felt like my heart broke a little. But also because, like I said, spiders is really, really important to me. So I want to be able to put it out eventually. I don't know if it will be soon, but you will see it. You will see it when you see it. And it was my birthday on the 12th. I know I already said that earlier in the video, but it was my birthday. If you want to send me birthday wishes, if you want to, you ain't got to send me a birthday wish. If you want to buy this chapbook, it's a birthday present to me. Or if you want to buy me a book, because as you can see, I'm trying to get back into reading. Like it's been a minute since I've read like a longer form work, but I have a long to be read list. If you want to contribute to that, I'll have my like buy me a coffee in the description. If you want to buy this, I'll most likely, like I said, hopefully by the time this video is made, we'll have a link to that in the description. Rejection is not the end. This video, I guess, is proof that sometimes it's nice to just take things into your own hands, so that, you know, you don't always have to like rely on other people to give you validation or to tell you that your work is good. You can do it for yourself. And I think that's kind of the major takeaway from all this. I was able to do this all from here, and from here, and from here. And yeah, and by the grace of God, thank you. Thank you for that in my spirit guides. Because yeah, this couldn't have gotten done without a lot of people working in my favor, the universe working in my favor, which is again just another testament that like even though the door is closed as far as receiving the rejection from the poetry contest, you know, other good things are coming my way, and you know, maybe that was a good thing because it just means better, brighter things in the future. So I do have a video essay coming out. I'll give you a hint. Cheetah-licious. That's all from me. I'm going to close out this video. Love you bunches. Yeah, bye.